All right, good morning. Welcome, everyone. This is the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee meeting of October 14th. I'm Larry Carr, serving as chair this morning in place of our normal chair, Rick, who's has work commitments this morning. We're going to go around the horn and introduce everyone that serves sort of as panelists on our screen right now. So I'll just walk through this, and I'll start with our chamber staff colleagues. Brittany?
Good morning, everyone. Brittany Sherman, CEO President for the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce.
And Nick?
Nick Gage, Chief Operating Officer of the Chamber of Commerce.
Great. Our folks who are going to be speaking in a moment, we'll introduce you as we have you present. So let me jump into the others. Mario?
Yes, Mario Banuelos. I'm a Rotarian and also the chair of a small business training program that we were going to reboot pretty soon. So,
thank you. Joe?
Resident and member of the Morgan Hill Planning Commission.
Great. Steve?
Steve Tate, retired guy.
We have Mayor Pro Tem John McKay with us this morning. John, thanks for joining us. Armando?
Good morning, Armando Garcia, Chair, Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce.
Armando's audio is a little
weird,
sketchy this morning, so maybe we'll get chat questions from Armando later on. Marby?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Marby Lee. I'm a realtor with RE/MAX Realty Partners here in Morgan Hill.
Great, thank you. And our city colleagues and friends here, Matt?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Matt Mayhood, Economic Development Director, City of Morgan Hill. It's good to be with you this morning.
Great. And Joe?
Joe Muller, Morgan Hill Planning Commission.
Thanks. All right. Let's see. This morning we do have a presentation from Techcon. And Brittany, do you want to introduce our guests from Techcon?
We'll go ahead and let them introduce. I know they've got a full presentation, and thank you very much, Stuart. I know you are incredibly busy with everything that you have going on. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to give us this presentation today.
You're very welcome, Brittany. We're really appreciative of everybody's time and the opportunity to present both Techcon and the new, very exciting project that we'll be building over the next couple of years here in Morgan Hill. Firstly, introduce myself. I'm the CEO of Techcon. I'm a resident of Morgan Hill as well. Been here somewhere between 15 and 20 years. If I ask my wife, she'd tell me exactly, but it's somewhere in that range. Real pleasure to be here. I know a few people on the panel here, and it's good to see you. I've got Jackson Durler, our Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing, with me as well. And we also have Tim Barnes, who was integral in the design of the building that we'll talk about. So without further ado, I wanted to share a couple of slides here with the team, just to be able to give you an idea of who we are and what we're doing, so that you can, at the end of this, ask questions, make this interactive along the way. So just first of all, can everybody see the profile slide that is up on my screen?
Yes.
Perfect, great, thank you. So just a quick profile of Techcon and also site design build. We provide commercial design and construction services for exterior projects. So what we don't do is we don't build buildings, which is kind of ironic in what the following presentation. But we have multiple projects throughout the Bay Area. As you can see from the picture there, that's the site that we're going to be talking about, that we're developing, building our building on. That's a recent photograph of our team, around about 150 employees at the sites at the corner of Cochrane and Monterey. Techcon's been with Morgan Hill for more than 20 years. A number of our employees are residents in Morgan Hill, and we're actually fairly active in the community and so on. Particularly, Jackson might talk about that as well. Our purpose and core values, which is really one of the things that helped drive the design of the building and the way that we're going to use the building that we're going to be talking about. really is to provide exceptional service and products to our clients, which I think is truly reflected in the design of the building that we're putting up and making our future headquarters here in Morgan Hill. Some of our core values that I think are reflected in the building are integrity in the company for both employees, customers, and other community partners that we've got. Relationship investments, and we continue to do that both locally and across the Bay Area. And innovation, and which is a little bit unusual for a construction company, but given that we live in Silicon Valley, innovation is something that we deal with every day, all the time. And from an innovative standpoint, I just want to reflect here and talk a moment about Paul Swing, who started Techcon more than 20 years ago. That last year was our 20th anniversary. Paul unfortunately left us last year in a tragic accident. Like I say, he was a resident of Morgan Hill. Many of you on the panel, I think, knew Paul. He was, a great giving guy, and he was involved in a lot of community activities in Morgan Hill over the years. I know Steve, I met you at Paul's home a couple of times, and Larry and us have been involved around and with Paul on different things, and we miss him greatly. But one of the things that this building is doing, and why we're so excited about doing it, is it's really a legacy for Paul. He was the innovator, he was the designer, the programming in the building, the ideas around the building. He was the one driving this project, and he was the one who was basically going to build it. He was project manager, owner, did it all, got heavily involved in the project. And so what that left us last year was with, well, a decision. What do we do next? And one of the questions we all ask ourselves is, we call it WWPD, is what would Paul do? And so we picked that up, and we are pushing forward with the project. We're in the very, we hope, final stages of building and permit approval with the city. And with that, we expect to break ground within the next 3 to 6 months, and then hopefully have the building occupied within the next, let's say, 2 years. We all know construction schedules will be different than what we plan them to be, but that's really our timeline for the building. And so from an innovative standpoint, hopefully you'll find the next description and presentation of what it is we're doing out there on the corner, and hopefully everybody on the meeting will get a clearer idea of what we're doing, and hopefully this explains why we're doing what we're doing. So with that, I wanted to turn it over to Jackson Verla and step through the next number of slides here and tell you more about the building, and then over to Tim after that. So thank you again.
Good morning. Here we are now. So here's the design of the building. This is the front facade looking from Cochrane north. Studio G is the architect involved who did the design of it. Techcon is obviously our company, and then Site is our design company within Techcon. So we do landscape architecture and civil engineering in-house, which has proven to be a huge benefit to all of our clients. And we do a lot of design projects, design build projects, and just build projects. So we keep ourselves very diversified. So going into the site, it was critical to choose the proper site, and we chose this one first and foremost because it's in Morgan Hill. We love Morgan Hill for all the reasons Stuart mentioned. My background, I came from Orange County. I moved to the Bay Area to follow my wife. I had no idea about the Bay Area. I moved to Willow Glen, loved it there, and then I started in conversations with Paul Swing and with Stuart, talking about Techcon, and joined the team and started commuting this direction, and sort of just fell in love with the town. Going to the downtown all the time. I'm there pretty much every day for lunch. But yeah, it's a great town. It's great people. It just has a really nice vibe to it. And so we wanted to make sure that we stuck to Morgan Hill. And this particular site was important to us because it is a gateway property. It's on the intersection of Monterey and Cochrane, very prominent location, gateway to Morgan Hill. It also has very great vicinities to the freeway. Most of our projects, I would say 99% of our projects, are north of here. Basically from South San Jose up the peninsula, East Bay as well. But pretty much everything is north of here. not by selection. That's just the clients that we seem to work with, and that seems to be where the development happens, and that's who we work with. So that was sort of the reason of the selection of the site. And zooming in on it, you can see the corner there. Another really important aspect to this site and this community, and us being a part of it, and the design of the building that Tim will talk more about, is we wanted to create something that was fitting to the city, something that sort of gave a nod to the agricultural history of Morgan Hill and the history that is here. And so when we first started the conversations of the architecture, we had visited different buildings, we had visited all sorts of different offices to really review what the innovations were for those buildings, as Stuart touched on, and Tim will as well. But really the overall architectural aesthetic of it needed to tie to Morgan Hill, we felt like, and tie to agricultural history. And so we wanted to do something that was very similar to, we called it the shed, and then one of the buildings is called a barn. And so they're sort of a modern take of those agricultural pasts. And that was really important to us. Another important thing was bringing that out into the landscape as well. And so what we did is we surrounded the property. You can see all the trees we're planting around the perimeter. Many of those are stone fruits and all sorts of fruit trees. There is a fence that goes around the property, a low wood fence, but what we have on that as well is grapevines, again, a nod to the wineries of the valley. So we really wanted to tie that into the site and bring not only our employees out to the outdoors, but also give that nod to the community and show that we are tying to those agricultural paths. So this is the layout of the site. And the other thing we did is we didn't want just one giant building. That didn't work well for us. It also didn't work well for the site and for the general aesthetics. And so we wanted to kind of spread out on the site a little bit and make almost a community center, if you will. And so each one of the buildings, there is a larger building up front, and this is it. But it's broken into, as you can see, different segments. And we really wanted to break it apart and for our employees be able to provide opportunities within different sections of the buildings to have different maker spaces and have different types of work opportunities. And something that, going back to what would Paul do, if you went to his house, he never worked at his desk. He would work at the kitchen island or work out in the barn or work somewhere else. It's always changing our environment. We felt like was a very important thing. It was something that was important to Paul, and provided that opportunity within that building, and Tim will talk about that as well. So moving on, I'll introduce Tim Barnes with Studio G to talk about the actual design of the building itself.
Thanks, Jackson. This is a very exciting project for us because, we were kind of directed away from traditional typologies. It's traditional to do development sort of style offices where you're maximizing the square footage, you're maximizing the leasable area, and that's kind of what you go for within a budget. But the vision here was certainly to build a building that makes great economic sense, but also to provide a wide range of functions that would engage a number of tenants and also engage the community at large. So this is the barn, which is the north end site. It turns out that site that Jackson showed is actually 2 lots, and by placing the buildings the way we did, we were able to actually maintain the lot line and maintain the separation. So there's a line that runs right across the middle above the larger building. That is the separation between the two lots. So we're going to talk first about the building at the north end, and then we'll talk about the bigger building to the south. So this is, if you can, I don't know if you were able to zoom in on the plan at all, but basically what happens here is that the north lot is the yard. It's an operations facility for Techcon. So they have their trucks and they have some materials and things like that. And in this building, they have the ability to do maintenance on the trucks. They also have a kind of maker space where people can come and build things and explore, and it's where innovation can take place. And there's also a proposal for a small distillery, which is another kind of community amenity. And then upstairs is a little bit of office space for people who are kind of managing the yard. And then outside is a large paved courtyard area, which is again intended to engage the community. So this is kind of, it's a contemporary take on a barn structure. It uses some of the same materials that we use in the other building. It's a sort of a folded plate design, which gives you maximum interior space, works within the height limits and the, all of the zoning requirements. Let's go on to the next one. And so here's the main building. This is kind of the main event. So as you come north on Monterey, this is kind of the view that you will see. And the main area here, it's split into, it looks like it's 4 levels. It's really a two-story building with mezzanines. And let's go back. There we go. Let's stay there for a sec. Two-story building with mezzanines. And the upper part here is Techcon's offices. The lower part is initially rentable space, and the smaller area on the right is a connected building that is also rentable space. And this allows for Techcon's current scale and then for expansion in the future into the other areas. And we'll look at the floor plans in the next couple of slides. Let's go on. Okay, so here you can see there's a sizable manufacturing area. I think it's about 20,000 square feet. And so one of the things that, Paul was very passionate about was developing products that made the work of Techcon more interesting and made the solutions Techcon could provide more powerful. And so the manufacturing space is a place for the development and construction of small lots of products that can be used in a landscape context. So the manufacturing area is a big floor with a 20-foot floor-to-floor clear height. There's a break area that is shared between the manufacturing and the office spaces, with the tenant spaces, little conference room. And then in the front of the building, you can see 3 areas labeled as office. So these are 3 suites that are available for tenants and potentially for future expansion for Techcon. And then in the right-hand plan, you can see that we've used mezzanines to gain additional area. And it means that all of these office spaces actually are double height spaces in some parts. So you get a lot of light and a lot of openness. Again, something you wouldn't get in a traditional developer office. Let's go on. So now we're going to go upstairs. And so you can see here, this is Techcon's offices on the left. There's a bank of office space at the front. These are for project managers and for their teams supporting construction contracts, conference room, entry and reception. We'll see some renderings of that. Conference rooms. There's an outdoor deck here on the west side in the center, and then more office space at the back, and then an enormous roof deck. And the roof deck is really, it's an outdoor garden. It's a showcase for Jackson and landscape design and for Techcon's products. And it's a great place for social events, either employees of Techcon or tenants or members of the public, perhaps in due course. And then there's another office/multi-use space. This has the potential to become expansion office for Techcon. It could also be a leasable space, and there may be other uses for it in the future. So this is possible because the second floor aligns with the roof of the manufacturing space. So that very high manufacturing bay, which allows for the mezzanines in the leasable spaces downstairs, also aligns these floors. So it became a very efficient solution. And then under the ridge, there's an additional small mezzanine with some private offices and some meeting space upstairs at the very top that has a kind of a commanding view over the landscape and over the other offices. And again, just to be oriented, this angled line at the bottom of the plans, that's that great glazed wall that acts like a kind of a lantern. At night it's going to illuminate the kind of the pathway as you come in and out of Morgan Hill. Let's go on. And here's the entrance. So as you come in, the way you enter the project is from Cochrane Circle. So you'll come off Monterey or off the freeway onto Cochrane and then to Cochrane Circle. As you come in, you'll see this. And so this is a kind of landscaped area between one of the tenant spaces and the manufacturing space on the right. So that's the big manufacturing space. You can see how tall that is. There's the break area and a meetings space there. And then you come down and there's this kind of glass wall here that opens to the entry and also illuminates the lobby to Techcon and the connection to the upstairs garden space. On the left, this is the smaller tenant space. The building is clad in standing seam metal. In general, the factory is tilt-up concrete. These are the kind of materials that Techcon works with. They're sort of expressive of their style and their processes. Let's go on. So here, the entrance to the Techcon offices. So this is right in the very center of the building. That vertical glazed panel that we saw in the last is behind the camera in this rendering. And so here you come in, see the logo, you see the values, and you can see right through to the there's a balcony outside there and a skylight above, and then that goes up to the upper mezzanine. So it's a very dramatic entry with a lot of light, a lot of verticality, and it's very well connected with one set of offices on the left, one set on the right, and then collaboration spaces on all sides. Go on. So here's a little bit of the office space. We've kind of come around, we're at the south part of the building. You can see this open office space. There's a set of private offices. The mezzanine above you can see, and then collaboration space. So collaboration is super important to any business, and especially to one that wants to innovate. So we've got a opportunity for a big screen, a touch screen display, a high top table to sit around and work, and to sort of think and to sketch, and then a break space over on the left that we will see in a moment. Let's go on. Okay, so here you can we've just turned a little bit, and now you can see there's like a bar here, with refreshments and so on. This is another opportunity for meetings as well as for social interaction. And then beyond that is the second set of offices. And on the left is that balcony that we saw when we came into the space in the first place. So basically, if you go between the hospitality area and this collaboration space, you go back into the lobby space. Again, we have the high ceilings, the sloped roof with the wood. And then here, coming and looking at the outside. So as you come through that office, you come out onto this beautiful deck. And this connection between the indoors and the outdoors is a very important part of working in Silicon Valley. We have a great climate. One last point I want to make about the architecture is these big overhangs are intended to provide protection from the heat of the sun, especially in the summer. Morgan Hill's a pretty hot climate, and in the summer, you don't want direct sun hitting the windows. So these big overhangs protect you from that. But in the winter, when the sun is lower, the sun will actually come in and provide a little bit of warmth. Jackson, I'll hand it back to you if you'd like to talk more about the design of the exterior environment here.
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to do Jackson, I'm going to do a quick time check here. We've got about 2 or 3 minutes left, and then I'm sure we're going to have some questions to throw your way.
Okay, I think we should make that work. We're getting close to the end.
Great.
So the outdoor space on the second floor, similar to what we're doing on the ground plane, the intent was to, again, be able to allow our employees to work in multiple different environments and allow to entertain. We like to have our clients at the office. We work with clients that we really like to work with, and we want them to come and experience a space with us that's unique, and that gives some flexibility, and that sort of is it creates that out of the box environment and creates a different mindset with people that are working in an environment like this. Allowing the flexibility is just critical for that. And this particular roof deck, this location, I should say, I didn't mention it earlier, but another reason we chose this location and the way the building is set on the property itself is to maximize the view corridors. We're in the beautiful valley here. We've got views on every single direction. So this roof deck was oriented north, sort of northwest facing so that we can see the hills to the west, the water tower to the north, and then the building has views every direction, as you can see. So the outdoor space is really important to us. It's also a portfolio piece, right? I mean, this is something that we want to bring people to and show the type of work that we typically do, the materials that we work with, but maybe use them in sort of an out-of-the-box setting. And these are types of things that we're doing typical for, you know, the Googles and the Facebooks and the big tech offices, but it makes sense. They're doing it for a good reason, and we've all put a lot of research into why these types of environments work well for employees, and it makes a lot of sense for us.
Thank you all. Hopefully explained why we're doing this, and hopefully you can see that we are really proud and excited about this award-winning building that we're putting out. So Larry, if we'd like to hand it back to you for Q&A or any other points.
Hey, thank you so much. Really wonderful presentation. Cannot wait to hold a chamber board meeting in your new facility when you are ready for us. I want to open it up to questions. Stuart, Jackson, Tim, you guys have all laid it out really quite well for us, and I agree with you, an award-winning building and something that our community should be very proud of having at our gateway. Let's see, who's got a question for Stuart, Jackson? And let's keep our questions super tight because we are kind of running up on time this morning. So John, why don't you lead off?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I just have to say that's wonderful. The building is, you've incorporated so many wonderful design elements, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing the building. One of the questions I have is, you have on the plan, on landscape plan, I saw that you have grapevines facing Cochrane. Will there be grapevines facing Monterey Road too?
Yes, they'll go, there's a low, kind of a ranch style fence, if you will. So a double wood fence, and there will be vines Monterey and Cochrane, yes.
Okay, that's my primary, that was my first question. Now you said that you're going to be leasing space. I remember a conversation with Paul. He said that there were going to be like fundraising events and all kinds of possibilities like that. What is there actually going to be a publicly accessible space as part of this?
Let me take that one. So the design was and is separated in a manner that allows the roof deck as well as the one leasable space on the upper level of the building to be accessed completely separately from the rest of the office building, to allow it to be leased out. We look forward to, Larry, to the Chamber's first meeting at the new building. So those sorts of events are absolutely something that we're going to be incorporating into the building.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Other questions? Quiet group this morning. Edith.
Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to give a big shout out to Techcon for their resiliency. This project is the signature project for the city of Morgan Hill. It is a gorgeous design. As Brittany mentioned, they got an award by the Business Journal for their design. It is not the traditional industrial building that we see in Morgan Hill. So I want to also give a shout out to the Planning Commission. Joe, you can pass that on to your colleagues for being progressive and thoughtful and allowing us to bring this project forward. So congratulations, Techcon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Nick?
Actually, I just want to maybe add on to what you just said. I mean, this is a distinctly unique and innovative design that's truly been purposely built to honor Paul as well as our community, and we couldn't ask for more as far as a gateway to our city. So congratulations on the award, but this is just a wonderful design. Yeah, we hope to have some meetings there as well, and look forward to actually seeing it up and running in 2 years. Well done, guys.
Thank you again.
All right. Any final questions for Stuart, Jackson, or Tim this morning? All right, well then I'm going to take a quick moment, and I don't have any questions, but Stuart and Jackson, I want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. I know you are super busy, so finding time to share your project with us is really meaningful to us. I so appreciate your memory and keeping Paul in the project and talking about him this morning with us. That really means a lot to many of us. And I want to congratulate the city of Morgan Hill in being innovative enough to work with Techcon on this project. It seems to me that it really brings in a lot of what Morgan Hill is, and yet connects us up to Silicon Valley. So not only is it something that is a demonstration of Morgan Hill, but I hope that it is going to be something that future projects in Morgan Hill take a look at when they're thinking about developing in Morgan Hill and what Morgan Hill can and should be looking like. So thank you, Joe, for your leadership and for the city staff's leadership in working with Techcon to get this this project going. And we do look forward to a ribbon cutting and seeing it not just on paper but in person. So thanks very much. And one final thing on Techcon has been so involved. Again, you know, something that Paul instituted in the company, in the community. I know Jackson is working with the Downtown Working Group, and many members of the company are so engaged in schools in Morgan Hill, as well as the city itself and our community. So it's really a good testament of the kind of companies that we like to have in Morgan Hill and working with us. So thanks for being with us this morning and for everything you do in Morgan Hill. Appreciate it so much.
Great. Thank you again for the
opportunity.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you. So we're going to move on in our agenda to some of the regular updates that we have. I'm going to start with a city update, and I think I'll turn it to Matt to lead us off.
Sure. Thanks. Good morning. Thanks, Larry. Just a quick update from the city side, and I'm sure Edith will probably fill in the gaps. But a lot of our time and energy over the course of the last several weeks has really been focused on supporting the downtown lane reduction working group and looking at that project, looking how we implement that project, taking feedback from downtown residents, downtown businesses, and the community as a whole. We've held 3 working group meetings over the course of the last several Fridays. We've done community meetings at the community center. We did a walking tour last Saturday led by Edith. If you ever need a walking tour and want to know the history of how everything has been built and developed in downtown, Edith is the right person for that tour. Just is a wealth of knowledge. And then we did another walking tour last night in downtown. And Nick, you keep showing up to all these tours, so pretty soon both you and I should be able to give this tour, but probably not as good as Edith. But it's great that you're showing up. We had ice cream in front of at La Playa last night, and then did the tour, and it was another great opportunity to get community input. And last night we really heard, I think, a more supportive tone of the lane reduction than we had heard in other community meetings. So we're working that group. Edith's done a great job facilitating the meetings along with Chris. And we are going to have another working group meeting next Friday and gathering, kind of bundling everything together, come back with what we've heard and from the group and from the community, and start shaping the recommendations from staff as to how to execute the lane reduction, how we do it and when we do it, so we can take that back to City Council. So that's the process that we're in play with. Spend a lot of time with that. Also, I'll be giving a complete business recovery and economic development update at City Council next Wednesday night. So I don't want to steal away from that presentation coming up next Wednesday night to City Council. So if you want to hear more about what we've done and what we're working on, please tune in for that. But my whiteboard is full. We are close to hiring a new economic development coordinator and a economic development fellow. So we're building the team here. So I'm excited. And I'm approaching the end of 3 months here, and I continue to be excited coming to work every day. And Edith, I'll let you fill in any gaps.
Thank you, Matt. I think that perhaps for the next EDC meeting, if your agenda allows, we can provide you the full update on the downtown project, including what the parklets, proposed design of the parklets would look like if we were to update our parklet program, and what the potential traffic mitigations staff is thinking about should the lane reduction, when the lane reduction takes place, what would the traffic mitigations could be, and then the staggering of the various projects. So if and when you find it appropriate, we're happy to provide you that level of detail. And then for Matt's presentation next Wednesday, this is very much aligned with the things that you care about the most, which is business recovery, supporting businesses. And a big part of the conversation is how we're gonna go forward vis-a-vis the outdoor dining, and what does that mean to our community, our parking, our layout of not just the downtown, but throughout. The state has provided guidance now where the state has said, let's provide businesses that have outdoor activations an extra year so that they can get their final permits for their activations. And essentially they're saying, cities, figure out your zoning, figure out your parking requirements to make the amendments necessary to make this work. Because guess what? If you didn't get the memo, the world has changed, and the world is outdoors. And we are seeing that throughout every city where they are formalizing their outdoor living environment.
Right, before I open up for other questions, I'm gonna take the liberty of the chair here to start the conversation. First of all, we're going to need to work on some calendar things. I know in November, we want to have a full conversation with the city about redistricting, what's going on with that and how the chamber and the business community might get involved in that. So we're going to have to figure out some dates here, because we do want to. Edith, I think you're planning on going to the city council in December with a conversation about downtown. So we'll want to, in November, be having a conversation with all of you about where that might be headed and figure out how the chamber wants to voice its thoughts on that. So everyone on the screen, stay tuned. We might be looking for some extra time in November from all of you to have these conversations.
Good.
But I actually do have a question. When I first joined this committee, we had a conversation about whether we needed to sort of comb through the economic blueprint to see what needed to be updated based on the relevancy of the time and time that had passed since it was first adopted. Based upon what you just said, what Matt's going to be bringing to the council next week, do you think that the blueprint needs to be updated in itself, or are the things that you guys are all talking about within the existing tenets of the blueprint?
That's a really good question. I think that the core tenets of the blueprint continue to remain solvent here for us and for the community. We have an extensive amount of work above and beyond the business recovery work that it is kind of finishing up the blueprint. And they're big ticket items. And when you come and visit Matt in his office, you will see what that looks like. But otherwise, on Wednesday, when we meet with the city council next week, in addition to talking about the outdoor living and business recovery, we will identify our handful of key signature sort of efforts above and beyond that require tremendous attention. And as you know, the big effort is industrial preservation, and that's going to be a handful of work that we expect the chamber to be alongside with us. And perhaps the potential ability to kickstart a property business improvement district in downtown. Again, a big effort. And then Matt has a whole bunch of other items related to marketing, promotions, hotels, and auto dealers. So even if we thought we were rounding the corner to update the blueprint, perhaps 2022 is not the year.
Okay.
I think that's a great summary, Edith, without stealing the thunder from next Wednesday. The economic blueprint is still very relevant. Really with COVID, I would say that even with COVID, there's been no pause on the execution of the blueprint. And the tenets of that document and the action items contained within that document are still very relevant. And there's still a lot of work to be done. I think the city's done a great job of executing the blueprint to date. And I think it's 2022 is the year we bring it home.
It's great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Other questions? Joe, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, and Edith will know this question because I raised it before. Downtown's critical and very important, but we got other business areas. And I think the outdoor element in the other business areas is a real challenge because the city doesn't control the space. And so this is where we need the help from the business community to figure out how we can work these frameworks so that the people in shopping centers and other places where the city doesn't control the outdoor space can take advantage of it because they want to, right? So, but they got different owners and different rules and things, and we got to somehow work through that challenge.
Absolutely, Joe. And for clarification, we do control it, we just don't own it. But that is the task at hand for the city, which is we need to develop new guidance for shopping centers. In the public right-of-way, we have a system, but in the private right-of-way, in the private ownership shopping center space, they need to come in and apply for, and we need to find a way to give the leniency that they need vis-a-vis the parking and the layout of the space. And a lot of thought needs to go into that. So it is definitely something Matt is going to talk about next week, and it's definitely part of the work program.
I guess on that item, I would just throw out there, once you feel like you have your direction from the council, the chamber would be a willing partner in pulling those property owners together in those kinds of conversations. I know that when we think about these other business districts, I'm thinking more the retail shopping centers. It's not the businesses themselves, it is the property owner that we need to be having the conversation with. And perhaps the chamber is a good convener of some of those to help you in those conversations. You know who the players are, but if we can be helpful in those conversations, once you feel like you have direction from the council, I'm sure I'm offering up the chamber. I'm sure the chamber is a willing partner in doing that.
I think we would appreciate the voice, if nothing else, the voice, because as much as we know that the world has changed, it's not easy for us and for the team to really transition from the calculations of parking and what we know how to do stuff to then reassess that. There is going to be a little bit of work, so we welcome your engagement.
Yeah, that's very appropriate for us. Absolutely. Okay, others, questions for Matt and Edith right now? Okay, if you come up with something as we're going through the rest, let us know. We'll get into it. Joe, you still have your hand up, but that's because I'm going to come to you right now and tell us something that's going on with the Planning Commission.
All right, so the Planning Commission met this week and we did a tentative map for the Giancola project on Spring, right across from the cemetery. It's a classic infill project, and it's under SB 330 acceleration, so that we're limited in the number of hearings. So that's the last time I think the Planning Commission will see that project. The next meeting is in 2 weeks, and we're going to have a design review, I believe, for the GEMCOR project up on Monterey and Madrone. And so that's a 250 unit, approximate 250 unit affordable project. that's, you know, it's very important to the community for getting the right kind of housing, but it's also a very large project of that type. I don't know that we have another one in town that's that many units. So that's the big discussion. We were told by staff that it's going to be a busy November and December. Normally we only have one meeting each month, and I know we're going to be polled for at least a second meeting in November, if not how they work it. So that's it. As far as the housing element process, we have a proposed number for the city of Morgan Hill, and I couldn't find it this morning when I was looking for it. But we were also told Tuesday night that the formal appeal process for the whole area is still underway, right? So they're not absolute final numbers yet, potentially. And the Morgan Hill number is actually a really good number, right? It could have been a lot different than it is.
Okay, questions for Joe about any planning commission items? All right. Hey, Joe, it's not said often enough. Thank you. Planning Commission does a heck of a lot of the heavy lifting that is needed. And as you said, having extra meetings over the holiday times, just because of the amount of work that's going on right now, is super important. You guys don't often get the thanks that you deserve. So thanks for your commitment with all of that. We really appreciate it, Joe. Edith?
Thank you, Larry. I know that I'm oversharing this morning, but I wanted to highlight for you, for us, a core of the, at the core, the big fight in, not fight, but the big debate, the big concern that is coming, that is going to be highlighted by the GEM Core project, but every other project coming to our community, and the conversation in this community is, in the past, we've been able to just spread out the affordable units throughout any single project. Having standalone affordable income adjusted projects is new to us. Having completely all income adjusted projects in one single location is new to us. Reminding us that income adjusted, it's a family of four that makes $150,000 is income adjusted. It's all of our teachers, it's many of our workforce. And I think that the big conversation for this community is, as these projects are coming in to be part of the landscape, how do they fit into the neighborhood? And the neighborhoods obviously are concerned, both density and the change. And it really comes down to how well can we integrate these new communities into the landscape, into the system, into the community. And it is going to be very important for us to pay close attention to that, so that going forward in 10, 15 years from now, we can feel proud about the integration of future families feeling part of the community as well. So just wanted to kind of highlight that and welcome your, again, engagement in this very important topic for this community, for us going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Edith.
Larry, could I add to that in a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Right now.
The important thing for people to realize is everything Edith said is really important to try to do. But under the new state laws, and I don't know about the 30-some that were passed this past session, that's going to be something we're going to be told about and worked on between now and the end of the year, because they take effect January 1, is like the Giancola project. When they come through with that process, we have very limited time and a lot of constraints on what we can do. And they came up Tuesday night because we had residents in the neighbor area that were concerned about certain things, and where we could really get into them before and make changes and push things with RDCS, we couldn't do that Tuesday night. It wasn't allowed. First of all, it was only the map, but we won't see that project again because there's only 5 allowed public hearings and everything counts on that particular project. So that's going to be a little bit true with the same one. We got to have channels or develop ways to communicate with the community and give them the transparency and to be able to talk about the project, but our hands at the same time are pretty tied on what we can do. And so it's difficult for everybody.
Yeah, all super good points, Joe. Hey, Brian Sullivan has a question for us on this topic. Brian, go for it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've had a neighborhood committee have lots of dialogue on this Gem Corps project. I live right down the street from it on Taylor. And, you know, it's been a hectic time for everybody. We're not totally against, you know, the affordable living. We're just against some of the issues that have been brought up by the project itself and how it's being done. We did have a meeting with the Gem Corps people on Monday, a couple of us with them, and went through some of the things, looked through the site with them. So at the Planning Commission meeting on the 26th, we will be in attendance. And the question, I guess, we're trying to set up a meeting with the city prior to that meeting, GEMCO ourselves and the city, to ameliorate some of the issues that we brought up in a long, I think 98 different things that we sent in to both GEMCO and the city, issues that we were concerned with. So we want to, you know, get that done prior to the 26th as much as possible, because we don't want the meeting on the 26th to drag on for hours and hours and hours just answering those questions. So we're waiting to hear. GEMCO was working with the city to set up the meeting, so I'm waiting to hear back from them. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. I mean, it brings up a really valid point that, you know, as Joe talks about the speed of which these projects now were required by state law to go through the limited number of hearings we have, it means more important that the community has to be engaged in these projects, because the kind of meeting that Brian is talking about, the community setting up with GEMCO, is not within those 5 that the city gets to hold in public hearings. So there are other ways to influence these projects that don't require being in front of the camera and being in front of the Planning Commission or the council, and it's just more important. Recently, Mayor Tate and Mayor Pro Tem John McKay and myself, we participated in a housing discussion with the city and about 6 or 7 members of the state assembly who came through town to learn about what Morgan Hill has been doing. Robert Rivas set it up. The takeaway that I have from that is 2022, the legislative session, everything that's going on, there's going to be 3 important issues in 2022 at the state level that are going to drive what happens in communities like Morgan Hill. And those 3 issues are housing, housing, and housing. And so if we think that what we're seeing today is something that we need to be paying more attention to, we need to be getting super engaged now. And so I guess I say that as a cautionary tale to all of us on this call, and maybe perhaps some agenda setting for Armando, Nick, and Brittany about how the chamber wants to and needs to maybe be talking about and being a voice in our community around housing, what income adjusted housing really means, what some of these projects means, maybe ways that we have suggestions about how we can maybe, you know, put some governors on the things that are happening out there. The presentation that Rebecca Garcia from the city gave to the assembly members was excellent the other day. Might be a piece that we all want to hear about, because I think it's so important to our community in terms of how we grow and where we're going. So it's, again, housing, housing, housing. It should be on the chamber's agenda as well as we think about the future. Enough of my soapbox. Anyone else on this before we move over to Alex and hear what's going on with open space? Okay, we can come back to any of those other city items if we want to as well. Alex, you want to give us a minute or two on what's going on with the Open Space Authority?
Yeah, I have a yard ball story. You know, whenever you get more than one government agency involved in something, it seems to take longer. Just don't understand it. So we are working with the city, the county, and the water district with regards to our access to our staging area from our parking area, what we hope to be our parking area over by off DeWitt behind the West Hills Church, because that's going to be the primary staging area for what eventually will be the El Toro Loop Trail. So we're in the midst of that. Everybody's having fun and has their own agendas. So we hope to have this thing ready to go because it ties in with the Hale Avenue extension, because some of that land becomes available to us for parking once that project is done. Other than that, nothing new to report. That involves South County or Morgan Hill. We have a trail opening in the city of San Jose, the Guadalupe Trail, which will basically link Los Gatos with Berryessa eventually, inner city trail. So that's all I have from that standpoint. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great, thank you. Questions for Alex on any open space topics? Okay, while my microphone is on, I'll take advantage one more time. The project that you talked about, Alex, perhaps this is both for our city friends and for the Open Space Authority. I had a conversation with some of the leaders of the church there who are enthusiastically supportive of that project, as I was as a council member. They do have a concern, though, that we always keep in mind as we move forward with a project like this, that that property is a church and they have functions there and their own needs. And they want to make sure that they're not lost in the excitement, enthusiasm that we all have for an El Toro Loop trail, and that we remember that there is a church there that operates today, and that we just have to keep that respect and the forefront.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, we've done that. In fact, we've even bought a little sliver of a parcel to the right of the driveway, the old Miller property, to help alleviate any congestion on Sundays, at least. You know,
that's good.
Yeah. And even more important, Larry, that church has a very significant expansion.
Yes,
that they're working on.
Yep, they're trying to get rid of some of their 30-year-old portables. Yes, yeah.
I think they're older than that.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. So those are the formal updates that we have this morning. Nick, Brittany, anything from the chamber perspective that we need to have this morning?
Thank you, Larry. We wrapped up the Friday night music series. So thank you everyone who came out to help us set up, break down, pour beer and wine, or just dance on the dance floor. We really appreciate the support. Looking forward again to bringing that back next year, of course. We are right now in the process of designing the directory and community guide for next year. So if you are a chamber member, you're automatically included in the back of the listing, and we are taking ad reservations as well. Again, this piece is very much a storytelling of Morgan Hill. It tells you where to find services and resources. It gives a history. It talks about the wine trail. It talks about the U-Pick farms. And so it just gives a really wonderful, great overview. It's kind of utilized as the Yellow Pages go-to guide to Morgan Hill. So that's a major effort we're undertaking right now through the chamber area. And looking forward towards the end of the year, hoping to bring back the holiday shopping passport, which was very successful last year. However, we launched it and then everything shut down the day after. So we're hoping to launch it and have everything stay open the day after. So that will be that. And also tossing around the idea of potentially being able to fund and set up a synthetic ice rink for the residents to have some fun during the holidays. And that'll be us for the rest of the year, Larry. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Freddie. Nick?
Yeah, maybe just one more thing to add. The Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce was privileged to receive a grant from the Morgan Hill Community Foundation for small business micro relief. And we have a joint committee meeting tomorrow to review and consider the applications. I think we had 29 applications from businesses that have employees of 25 and under. So we're looking forward actually to a successful review and be prepared to hopefully award those grants next week. So it's been many months in planning and considerations, and we're looking to put that package together and get it across the finish line hopefully next week. So more to come.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're right on time this morning. Couple last things for me. One Yoga is having an open house this weekend, so if your back is killing you from working at the kitchen table or your son's bedroom like me, get in there, take a free class, stretch out that back a little bit. As we all head around Morgan Hill this weekend, particularly if you're visiting downtown, walk downtown with a thought in mind about what you want downtown to be in Morgan Hill in the future. What should it be next year? What should it be in 5 years, 10 years, 30 years? Be thinking about those things as we purposely enjoy our community this weekend. Those are the conversations our city leaders are having right now. And if we're thinking along those ways, we can be better participants in those conversations. So have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate your time. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Larry.
Bye-bye now.